Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being here, part of the show. Hey, in the house is Lee Grant. He says, hey, y'all. Hey, Lee Grant. Of course, we have Eric Hayes as well, Bridge MCP, AVQ, L1 and only Michael Rutnen. Welcome aboard, all of you great people. Let's see what else. Bridge came on and YouTube says, hey, peeps, I'm going to read Bridge's first because she was at the previous show and apparently I forgot to read or didn't. And actually, I didn't forget to read it. I didn't see it. She says, we were talking about the Federal Reserve. I had a caller who called in and spoke about the Federal Reserve, and I didn't know what she, it wasn't my stuff. I didn't know it, so I deferred to her. But before I go into that, happy Thanksgiving, happy Friends Day, happy whatever you call it. Hey, what is happening to my green screen? I guess I gotta fix it. And I will fix it right now because you guys deserve to have it all working right. So we are going to fix it right now. So bear with me as I put an eyedropper on it. Bing. There we go. I think that fixed it. All right, folks. Anyway, how was your Thanksgiving? I trust that you had a good Thanksgiving. And I don't care what you think about Thanksgiving, whether it is what you celebrate it for. I celebrate Thanksgiving to give thanks to everybody that form a part of my life. I don't follow what the Pilgrims did and all of that. There's too much back there what was done. I don't care about that. I care about the people I want to be thankful to. You guys, my family, etc. So I had a good Thanksgiving. Unfortunately, I didn't spend my Thanksgiving with my wife and daughter. I spent it all on my lonesome in a room. My daughter and my wife and her brother and her niece, my niece as well, they drove to Dallas. I begged them to go. They were going to stay here with me because I had to finish or put a big chunk into my book. I needed to get a few more chapters written. And it was the opportune time to just, with silence, stay in a room and write 6 chapters. So they went. But I have great friends. Roberto Luis, he wouldn't let me not have a Thanksgiving. So the day he tried to get me to come the day after Thanksgiving, he says, well, look, we're going to meet halfway. And these guys gave me a spread of food, man. A huge amount of food. And then one of our other great contributors, Patricia and Sean and Al, they also gave me a meal. So I had 2 additional Thanksgiving meals the day after Thanksgiving. Anyhow, so I had a good time. I spoke to them. We had video talks in between my chapters, all that good stuff. So I had a good time. I trust you all had a great Thanksgiving as well. Whatever you ate, whatever you celebrate. Remember, we can always make it a good thing by just being thankful for those that are around us. And like I said, thank you guys for being here as well. E2247 is in the house. He says, I'm grateful to see you expressing good health. Thank you. Bridge MCP says, hey, Melanie Keelan and E2247. Let's see. Michael, I want to start with Bridge MCP's piece. It says, Egberto was trying to show you this before. The progressive movement, the Federal Reserve Act of December 23, 1913, was part and parcel of the wave of progressive legislation on local, state, and federal levels of government that began about 1900. Progressivism was a bipartisan movement that in the course of the first 2 decades of the 20th century transformed the American economy and society from one of roughly laissez-faire to one of centralized statism. Until the 1960s, historians had established the myth that progressivism was a virtual uprising of workers and farmers who, guided by a new generation of altruistic experts and intellectuals, surmounted fierce big business opposition in order to curb, regulate, and control what had been a system of accelerating monopolies in the late 19th century. A generation of research and scholarship, however, has now exploded that myth for all parts of the American polity, and it has become all too clear that the truth is the reverse of this worn fable. Thank you for that information. I am going to bookmark that because I got to read up on to understand a bit more of what it's saying. Was it good or bad? The caller didn't think the Federal Reserve, they thought it was a bad thing. The historian that I had running the boards for me, which is Tory Mercer, he thought it was a good thing. I got to read up on what Bridge just showed me because it seems like Bridge is more in tune with what the woman who called, Paula, was saying earlier today on the earlier version of the program. All right, let's see. Brother Rodnin wants me to put something on the screen, which is what parts of Houston are going through right now. It says, a boil water notice has been issued for the city of Houston main water supply after a water treatment plant experienced a power outage Sunday morning. City officials say it's going to take several more hours before the problem gets resolved. If you're instructed to follow a boil water notice, use the tips. Boil all water for food, drinking, and brushing your teeth. Boil the water for at least 2 to 3 minutes. Do not use chilled water lines from the refrigerator. Do not use ice from an automated ice machine. A water purification plant lost power. All right. I'm in Kingwood, which is a suburb of Houston. We are within the Houston city limits, but it so happened that the water system that we use, I think it's because we were separate from Houston for a while, is actually in a good shape and it doesn't fall under the boil rule. So I didn't have to stop my ice maker or anything, but thank you for pointing that out. And we're putting this on the screen for folks who wants to see it as well. Let's see what else we got here. Michael says, Raleigh New Observer. More guns lead to more shootings. Let's challenge a gun ownership means. Second Amendment zealots say that people, not guns, kill people, but then a nation that has more guns than people, over 400 million guns and 330 million people. The prevalence of guns is going to lead to the demise of people through intentional shootings, accidents, and suicides, which is a reality. The toll is more than 110 people every day, including 5 deaths per day in North Carolina. As the U.S. endures another wave of mass shootings, there are signs that the majority of Americans who want stronger gun controls may yet be heard. A bipartisan group called the 97%, an allusion to the 97% of Americans who favor universal background checks for gun control, wants to reduce the carnage by enlisting gun owners in effort to reduce the sensible measures such as seat belts, airbags, etc., etc. You guys can continue reading. That's pretty long. All right. Michael also says, Empire Files with Abby Morton credible accuses Ron DeSantis of being a conspirator to sadistic torture. I saw that one during his time at Guantanamo Bay. Actually, you sent me that one. The Empire Files tweeted an eyewitness account of Mansour Adaifi, who said Ron DeSantis smiled and laughed while watching his torture at Guantanamo. The human rights lawyer said, I'll use the JAG position to help maximize stuff. Hey guys, I have a little headache here. I'm on a 3-day, 72-hour fast to help with my blood pressure and control my blood levels. So I'm a little bit, anyhow. The fast is feeling good though. I'm hungry, but earlier I was like super hungry. Now I was superbly hungry. Now I'm only super hungry. I'm past 72 hours, not 72. I'm past 37 hours, so doing fine. All right, Michael Rudnan says, Al Mayadin Media Network. I was screaming and he was smiling. Okay, you guys can read that on your own. I'm not going to read that long thing there. All right, Axios, Trump talks with white nationalist Nick Fuentes at Mar-a-Lago dinner. Trump direct engagement with a man labeled a white supremacist by the Justice Department 1 week after declaring his 2024 candidacy is likely to draw renewed outrage over the former president. Yeah, that's been all over the news. Check out, good for Michael. He gives us all the links to these things for those who haven't yet heard about it. I read Bridge MCP stuff, so let's get busy. What you guys want to talk about? Eric says, Green energy through windmills take 90 gallons of oil-rich oil, which has to be changed on a regular cycle. Then are you going to put thousands of these on the ocean leaking oil spills when servicing them and changing the oil and the amount? Oh, God. Again, instead of trying to figure out how not to create green energy, you're trying to figure out what happens to lubricating oil, etc. Look, Eric, try to frame your mind correctly. We have to get off fossil fuels. Period. Welcome, Melanie Keelan from our good place in Barcelona, Spain. Welcome to Politics Done Right today. Lee Grant says, praying for Houston to restore electricity and water. We never lost electricity throughout Houston. The plant lost electricity. We need infrastructure investments. Yeah, we do. What else have we got here? We got, brief action, Cherokee Chief Chuck Hoskin Jr. on why to seat Kimberly Teehee as Cherokee Nation's first U.S. congressional. You know who else said that? One of the guys I follow on Substack. He said we should be doing that and doing that yesterday. I can never remember his name, but I'll remember it as the show goes on. Question. Eric has a question. Anything for your government to learn from this use of power? China's COVID frustration boils over. Protesters call Xi to resign. Okay, I don't know what you put that there for, but I think we're following that story. Paul Fleming says he's checking in. Bruce Poller says he's in the group. Welcome, Bruce. How you doing, Bruce? Breach says Egberto Willis, key word. It was bipartisan, and that's why I tell people, Breach, I think you heard me say this on the radio at KPFT today. I am first and foremost a progressive. I caucus with the Democratic Party because that's the only place that progressives can have power within our bipartisan system. Okay? But first and foremost, I am a progressive. Michael Rodden says, interesting article, though Mrs. is a libertarian think tank that uses backward information. Okay, what is that? Let's see. Oh, so you're giving a point that, yeah, they're mixed, sometime good, sometime bad, yeah. All right, let's see what else we got here. Houston, Bruce says Boyle is not for Kingwood. No, it's not for Kingwood, Bruce. I didn't have to do it. Bridge MCP says, yep, Michael Running, I'm looking quick and grabbed it. Let's see what else we got here. Let's talk. There is a lot of oil under Argentina. Yes. I still think the biggest one, though, is near the equator, which is Venezuela, right? Not the equator, but you know what I'm talking about. Let's talk why there's a lots of oil under Argentina. You tell me, Bruce. I think that's what you're saying. Why is there a lot of oil under Argentina? You tell me, please. I'm waiting. Eric Hayes says, Rudnin, that is why one will invade us. Okay, let's see. Bridge says, allows Chevron to expand energy operations in Venezuela. Yeah, we are given Chevron license to go ahead and work with Venezuela because Venezuela says, oh, we're going to now talk to the others. All right, the largest tribe in the United States with more than 430,000 tribal citizens worldwide, based in its capital, its national capital, called Tahlequah, Oklahoma, the capital. Wasn't that where we had the Trail of Tears, right? And I think I missed some of your first part. That's okay. Lee Grant says, Democrat-run cities have big problems. Here's Krasner's Philadelphia. I did Krasner last week. All cities, because it has a concentration of people, have a lot of good, bad, in between, and others. That's just how it is. If you doubt it, Oklahoma City is run by Republicans. Tulsa, Oklahoma is run by Republicans. They have a higher crime rate than New York City, higher crime rate than California. What gives? Come on, Lee Grant. Let's do the numbers, brother. Come on, come on, come on. All right, let's see what else we got here. Egberto, it's fine that you skipped my commentary. Take care of yourself, man. You're pushing yourself too hard again. Hey, actually, I'm behaving. I got good sleep last night. Because since I'm fasting, I don't have to work out as hard until after the fast. So I'm behaving. I want to be around for my baby. I want to be around for my peeps. You can't, no guarantees, but I'm trying. I'm trying to follow the rules. All right, excuse me, fact check. Wind turbines do not need their oil change every 500 hours. Some can go years. Oh, great. I love that I have my peeps fact checking, and I'll put that on the screen since you're fact checking that, Breach. There we go. Breach says, fact check. Wind turbines do not need their oil change every 500 hours. Some can go years. I hope you will apologize for putting out, again, information from a poor source, Eric Hayes. Why do you do that? Listen to Bridge MCP and Rudnin, who actually get fact-based information. Do you want to try to make your points based on lies? I don't think you do. You're a good guy. I know you. AVQ, he's a guy and doesn't listen. Come on, behave yourself. Bridge MCP. All right, let's see what else we got here. Para ver. Apple is threatening to talk to Twitter, to take Twitter off of its app store, which they probably should if Twitter doesn't shape up. I agree. What else we have here? I think it could happen that a representative delegate could get siloed into the status held by D.C., Guam, Puerto Rico, Samoa, Virgin Islands, and so in which there is influence but not legislative votive power. So ties in a vote would not happen. True. I think they should have voting power. They are territories, man. We need to change the constitution. All right, World Population Review. Venezuela has the largest amount of oil reserves in the world with more than 300 billion barrels in reserve. Saudi Arabia, second largest with 297.5 billion. Yep, I think I read that one out to you guys before. We also have Eric Hayes says, Austin and Dallas and Houston all run by Dems. Lots of violence and have to boil water. No, let's be clear. A lot of Republican rural areas have crime rates that are higher. Remember, if a rural place have 10,000 and a couple of people get killed, their crime rate is higher than what? These cities. It's just that these cities are huge. Numbers, Eric. Numbers. Although I had to correct myself the other day because I said the crime rate in rural areas is larger than crime rate in the cities. It's actually close, but not true. The crime rate in rural areas on the aggregate is less, but it's not all that much less. But here's the other kicker. In the red states, irrespective, the crime rate is gun rates 40% higher. I repeat, 40% higher than in blue states. So what gives? Lee Grant says, Egberto, look at the video I posted, then tell me where there is an equivalent disaster in a blue city. I think you meant in a red city, but I'll look for it. Let's see. What's the video that you sent me? Look, guys. In general, it's best not to like send videos. It's sort of best to like go ahead and say, tell us a little bit of what's going on there, right? Let's see what we got here. Zombieland, Heroin Addict Place. All right, let's clear that, right? What I'd like you to do is take a look at what's happening in rural America with all the those drugs that are coming over the border. You check it out. Don't use a video like this. I'm looking at the video right now. Do not use let me just put it on the screen for you guys. Do not use a video like this to stereotype Lee Grant. That's a stereotype, right? That is a stereotype of Philadelphia. Because I've been to Philadelphia. I just got back I got back from Pittsburgh, but I've been to Philadelphia. I went to Philadelphia last year. That's not how it really is. All right? There are areas like that in Philadelphia. There are areas like that in rural America, just not that big because it's rural America. So please, 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 sir, don't allow yourself to be taken by bad media that stereotypes things, okay? Please, 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 please. I would love for you to be more objective in the way you see things. All right, let me continue reading and then I'll go to my first video. But I just want to make sure that, I do, if you have something of value, I put on the screen. You guys know that. All right, let's see what else we got here. Let me see what else we got here. Michael said, Egberto, I'd only send a video in advance so you might play during the live stream, as I was hoping you'd do for demonstrating who Ron DeSantis was. I didn't know you actually sent a video with Ron DeSantis. I'll do it the next time I see it. All right, Eric Hayes says, fentanyl and the policy of not holding cartels accountable. Do you really think we don't hold cartels accountable? Or don't you think, they're just criminals that get away with it, just like the oil companies get away with their legal criminality? No, that sounds like an oxymoron, but I call it legal criminality. All right. Donald Trump is losing his cred. When Asa Hutchinson can do something like this, check this out.
So Donald Trump met with Kanye West, the rapper, anti-Semite, as well as Nick Fuentes, another anti-Semite, racist, and everything negative that you can think of. And he thought it was okay to meet with these people and have a great dinner. Well, you know what? He probably thought that he was going to get some defense, some sort of a defense from his compatriots, the red state governors, etc. Well, he didn't. I want you to listen to Asa Hutchinson because he just all but threw him under the bus. But then again, isn't Asa running for president? Check this out.
Former President Trump is attempting to defend a meal he shared this week with rapper Kanye West, who now goes by Ye, and white nationalist and Holocaust denier Nick Fuentes. Trump insisted Friday that he hadn't previously known Fuentes, but a source tells CNN he found the white supremacist, quote, very interesting, particularly Fuentes' ability to rattle off statistics and data and his familiarity with Trump. And Governor, thank you so much for joining me. I know as U.S. Attorney in Arkansas, you personally prosecuted white supremacist groups. What's your reaction to seeing a former U.S. president associate with someone like that?
Well, I hope someday we won't have to be responding to what former President Trump has said or done. In this instance, it's important to respond. And as you mentioned, the last time I met with a white supremacist, it was in an armed standoff. I had a bulletproof vest on. We arrested them, prosecuted them, sent them to prison. And so, no, I don't think it's a good idea for a leader that's setting an example for the country or the party to meet with avowed racist or anti-Semite. And so it's very troubling and it shouldn't happen. And we need to avoid those kinds of empowering the extremes. And when you meet with people, you empower. And that's what you have to avoid. You want to diminish their strength, not empower them. Stay away from it.
Well, you know what? I think they're finally getting some pelotas right now. It seems like Republicans are starting getting some pelotas and they're going to nick Donald Trump. Of course, they're waiting for him to lose his popular support, which is probably why it's taken so long. They have to realize one thing. Donald Trump is going to have at least a 33% group of folk that are going to be on his side over and over and over again. So these guys better get their act together and centralize on one or two candidates, because Donald Trump, if he has a big field, can still take it all. And then when it comes to the general election, well, people say, don't say that he can't win, because remember he did before. This time, I don't think he can't win.
Absolutely so. Absolutely so. Oh, welcome, Deborah Moyers. Welcome. I just hope that Asa talks to Sarah Huckabee Sanders before he leaves office. She's a Trump girl. I don't think Trump really have any of these people in the Republican Party who loves him. I think they fear him, or no, they don't fear him. They fear his base. Because like Trump said, I could shoot somebody in the head and they'll still vote for me. And I believe him. Paul Fleming says, when children of color has to deal with racism throughout their lives, it won't kill other children to learn about race and racism. I agree with that. And not only that, on that, Paul, most people, children, adults, whoever you are, most people are good people. They just don't know history. They just don't know what has happened in our history. They just don't know the things that we've done to others, right? And when they find out, most people would want to atone. Most people would want to be right, do what's right. I always like to put myself into as an example of people who can change. Coming from a Latin Caribbean black culture, remember my new book, Tribulations of an Afro-Latino Caribbean Man? Had all the strikes, which mean homophobia, sexism, and there's another one. I can't remember what the other one is. Okay? But I atoned. I changed. And it's not wanting a pat on my back. I don't want a pat on my back. I want women supposed to come out and say, well, damn it, you should have, and don't expect a pat on the back. And my gay friends, I don't want a pat on the back. It's like, what took you so damn long? But I atoned. And I think the reason why those in the plutocracy want to push all these things, prevent people from learning critical thinking, not just critical race theory, critical thinking. It's because they fear that these little kids are going to say, did we really do that? And okay, we must atone for that. We must start talking about things like reparations because of redlining that systemically took the wealth away of many. We have to think about those things. And that's their fear. Their fear is that they can no longer go out and say those others are like that because they're lazy, as opposed to those others are like that because that is our creation. We created the destituteness that they're going through. We created the frame of mind that keep them in that state. And when you go ahead and you teach this in high school and elsewhere, and these kids start to say, oh my God, mommy, you remember how you spoke about X, Y, and Z? It's not that way. The reason that is occurring in our society is because of what we did, what our ancestors did to them. And that whole thing permeates the next generation, the next generation, the next generation, the next generation. That's why the wealth gap is so large. Redlining prevented the appreciation of their homes and the accumulation of wealth. Jim Crow laws prevented them to be able to engage in active society. All these things. And all our beautiful white kids in these schools around the country, they would have seen this and they would have said, wait, mommy, they won't sit down there and hate themselves. They didn't do a damn thing to hate themselves. They would go out and say, mommy, daddy, we've got to do what is right. Mom, you were able to build wealth. They didn't. Mom, you were able to go to school. They didn't. When these laws were written, they were systematically excluded. In Pennsylvania, when they were building all these humongous subdivisions in Pennsylvania, the actual deed restriction for all these economical homes that sold for $10,000 that now sell for $300,000, there were clauses in those deeds when the government gave the loans or helped the loans there that said, You could not rent to the other. You wonder where the wealth is? So that's what the plutocracy is scared of. That these, our good, wonderful kids, all irrespective of race, they're going to go out there and say, oh my God, we need to make amends. And amends means understanding that the corporations who own billions and billions of dollars on the backs of the redlined homes that weren't given their values, on the backs of all these others, you got to pay it back, baby. We got to tax it back to recover what was gone. Lee Grant says, truth be told, black people in the U.S. have a higher standard of living than black people anywhere else in the world. Stop. White people in the United States have a higher standard of living than all white people around the world. You want to go there? That is like they were saying, black and black crime, 90%. Okay, white on white crime, 88%. Lee, please stop using those talking points. Blacks are doing better in the aggregate in the United States because in the United States, we are orders of magnitude richer than elsewhere. So what is the case that, okay, so blacks are doing better than blacks? The competition or the similarity should not be with blacks outside of the United States. The similarity should be with people in the United States. Don't get caught up into that crap. Nigerian, let's even get better. Go to Nigeria. The average wealth potential of a Nigerian black is way higher than the average wealth potential of a white person in the United States. Oh, guess what? That's Nigeria. That's not the United States. Do we want to really make those silly comparisons? I don't think so. If we're talking United States, let's do that. Bridge MCP says, Berto Willis, in a town I used to live in, Levittown. That's it. It wasn't Pennsylvania. I'm talking about Levittown, actually. First town built for vets had a clause, no black, still on the books, and they are trying to change it. Actually, you know what? Levittown, you're right. I was wrong. I thought Levittown was in PA. It is in New York. I am sorry, guys. It's New York. Levittown is the town that I was talking about. Deborah Moyer says, parents should try to learn from their kids. I always encourage my son to teach me things they knew that I didn't. Eric Hayes says, Berto, how did people in the U.S. get wealthy? Capitalism? Yeah, you're right. I mean, I am not doubting you. First of all, people in the United States got wealthy from capitalism. Capitalism is not the only way for people to get wealthy. In fact, capitalism demanded that we destroyed a lot of people, a lot of environments, and a lot of others to get a few people wealthy in the United States. So you're absolutely right, Eric. How did capitalism build the wealth in the United States? We pilfered the bauxite in Jamaica. We pilfered the oil throughout the country. We did all of those things to others that Americans don't see. If you, as a human being, and supposedly a caring human being, remember I talk about capitalism being a great abstractor, meaning we can live a beautiful life in the United States and have our nice homes and everybody's fed and right. But then you see what happens to get the raw material that capitalism is built on. What occurs in Africa, what occurs in Jamaica, what occurs in Santo Domingo and all these other places. You have to wonder. So the 4% that America represents in the world, eating up 25% of the resources of the world, that is somehow equitable? That is somehow fair? Nah. But you're right, Eric. America's wealth was built on capitalism. Slavery is capitalism. Both the slavery of the type we had when black folks were slaves, as well as the slavery that we have now, antiseptic slavery, where employees are slaves. So you're right. You're absolutely right, Eric. And thank you for allowing me to prove my point. All right, let's see. My parents brought me up to not be racist, as I was Irish Catholic and under British rule. Boy, and you understand what that means. Or if you're not Irish, if it's your parents who are Irish, they understand what that meant. British MTP says, racism, we may know about it, but we've not lived it. That's where empathy comes in. Exactly. Exactly. Be a creator, not a victim. Eric, I am not a victim. I don't know if you meant me. I'm not a victim. I created a whole bunch of stuff. Please look up Willie's Computer Software Company. You'll see the litany of products that was created under this company. I gave that up for this. And justifiably so. But look it up. My life is an open book. Look up Willie's Computer Software Company and see what you find. Paul Fleming says China is proof of modern day slavery when they lock you in the workplace and you can't go home. Actually true. America is antiseptic slavery though, because they don't need to lock you in. They just need to make sure that you speak. They just need to make sure that you're dependent on their health care or whatever, so you can't go anywhere else, right? Alberto Willis, there is a Leviton in PA as well. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. I didn't know that. Which one is bigger? Because these are like huge suburbs. Michael Rudden says, victim mentality dominates the evangelicals in this country, demonstrating again that accusation in the mirror is the first tool of American conservative. Exactamente, hermano mío. Let's see. Deborah Moyer says, there's no white person who can say they have never been racist or benefited from racism. Not possible. And that's why I love my audience. Because my audience makes sure to stay and make it real. Look, I was talking to Tori today. And I looked at Tori and I said, my goal in everything that I do with Politics Done Right and otherwise is to bring folks, all the others together, right? When I say others, I'm even talking white people too. White people otherize, certain white people otherize others. I'm talking about all us being others and coming into the fold and realize that we are fighting the same battle against a plutocracy that is trying to take it all. And if we can just see each other for that, if we can see each other for our commonality, and I'm not talking like, pie in the sky kind of a thing. I'm saying if we could just see the commonality that we got, the plutocracy is done. And that's why they invest so much in lying to the people that will accept the lies, like let's say Eric Hayes. He's willing to accept fallacies because there's some amount of comfort it gives him some amount of comfort it gives him. And I don't know what that comfort is, to tell you the truth. A superiority comfort? I don't know. It gives him a certain comfort that it couldn't be us who created the problems that the others have. And I can tell you categorically, it is our system that created the problems of the others. You can say, well, can't they get up and do what you did or what Oprah did or what you did in forming a company and that? Yeah, they could. But you know what? I grew up with parents who told me nobody was better than I was, and I was better than no one, and that I had to work twice as hard as anybody, but that's your cross to bear to make it. And I lived with that cross on my shoulder my entire life. I never did anything other than saying, whatever I did, I put everything into it, including this, right? It is important. It is important. All right, you guys are having good conversations here. Let's see. Let's see what else. Capitalism is the key. No, it's not the key. So is China pilfering places? Yes, absolutely so. But China is not doing anything the United States hadn't done to get what it did, to get where it's at. All right? The difference is China does not involve itself as much in the internal politics of a country as much as America has. America didn't only pilfer your resources, but they also wanted to make sure and be involved in your internal politics. And the reason why is they understood America loved democracy at home to some extent, a plutocratic type of democracy, but on afar we love dictatorships. Just take a look. We created Noriega. We were trying to manage Omar Torrijos. We couldn't, so we killed him. I mean, look, I can go on and on and on. All right, let's see what else we got here. I was born in Northern Ireland and I'm gay. I know how it is. Bridge MCP, absolutely. You know it. You understand pain. Michael says victim mentality dominates the evangelical world. I read that one already. Deborah Moyer says, I think the Leviton in PA is north of Philadelphia. Okay. Bridge MCP says New York Leviton was first, not sure which is bigger, but they built Hicksville, loved the name, and they did the same. Okay. All right, let's see what else we got here. Let's see. Michael Rennie said, Eric Hayes, do you mean if people need help and ask for help, that the government should organize to help them? Okay, I mean, it's amazing, right? Lee Grant says, victim mentality also drives desire for redress and reparations. That is why leftist government offer things. Okay, Lee Grant, I don't know what you're saying if you're saying you don't believe in reparations, but let me just be categorical here. If, first of all, note that we did provide reparations for Japanese that were interned, right? We did that. In other words, we interned Japanese, the Japanese American citizens, we gave them reparations. Black folk built this country when it comes to our cotton output, our factory outputs for a very long time, for free. When they were emancipated, they were once promised 40 acres and a mule in a document that was never realized, but they were still placed under duress. Subsequently, we had policies like redlining and Jim Crow laws that further prevented them from performing within a free economy. Okay? Think about this. And others profit from their loss. Don't you think it is high time that we give reparations of some form, probably free education to ensure folks catch up? I can think of a lot of ways to give reparations so that folks just don't take the money and say, I got free money from my ancestors. I can fix a social program, a social problem. It's that simple. Let's see. Deborah says, you had unusual and special parents. It shows in who you are. My parents, I love my parents. My father is not with us anymore, but my father was one of my biggest cheerleaders. My father, I dedicated my first book to my old man, my father. My father used to tell me, I remember when I was leaving NASA to form my own company, my father, a lot of folks in the family didn't want me to. My wife said, Egberto, I have been poor before. I can again. And if we have to get a 1-bedroom apartment to realize that dream of your own business, all that good stuff, so be it. I had some in the family that said, how can you dare leave NASA? That's prestigious. You're going to leave NASA to go work on your... Yes, I'm going to leave NASA to go work on my own. And my dad said, let me tell... Look, we speak English, a different kind of English in Colon, right? We speak Caribbean English and Latin Spanish, okay? So my father looked at me in our good Caribbean English and said, whopping, boy, let me tell you something. I'm going to tell you something. You're making the man all the money because you know what you're doing. Go and do it on your own. You can do it on your own. Proud of you. Translation, that's English too, okay? But translation. You've been working for the man a long time. You've been making the man a lot of money. Yes, you can do it on your own. And I got faith in you to do it on your own. I love that dude. He's not with us anymore. He died suddenly of a heart attack 10 years ago, or a little over 10 years ago. And I tell you something, that guy had a lot of faith in this son. And one of the reasons I bust my ass as hard as I did, and I continue to do so, is because, like I said, he's always had faith that, what I need to do is successful. And we must all think that way. Great parent. Paul Fleming says, white people in this country fought a black man trying to give Americans low to free health care, but freely accepts a former president's insurrection. It's amazing, right? Because he tried to give everybody health care. And most of the people that benefit from the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, are not people who look like me or you, Paul Fleming, but people who look like Eric Hayes. And justifiably so. And these are the things that we have to get around. Lee Grant says Democrats interned the Japanese. Democrats did a lot of bad things. Democrats are the ones who believed in Jim Crow. Democrats are the ones who it was Republicans who signed the Emancipation Proclamation. It was Republicans who helped pass under Johnson the Civil Rights Bill. I know all of that, Grant. That none of that matters. Today, Republicans are the racist party. I'm not talking about the people that are Republicans. I'm talking about the leadership in the party. Okay? Today, Democrats are the ones that are trying to do progressive things for America. It doesn't matter what the past was. It doesn't matter what are you doing today and doing for tomorrow. That's what's important. Egberto and all the conservatives in the chat, this CG Gray video might be worth your time. It analyzes the difference between rulership, left and right. I truly hope you watch after the show. I will. Y'all always give me good stuff to watch. Let's see what else we got here. Deborah Moyer says, black people cared for white families to whom they were indebted, including providing medical care. Yeah, it's funny, right? Because a lot of people think that a lot of this angst about America getting more brown, that a lot of my white brothers and sisters are really concerned that what was done to the people of color is going to be done to them if they ever lose the majority. That is crap. If you want an example, go to South Africa. South Africa and the Bantustans and apartheid was a vicious criminal enterprise against somebody just because of the color of their skin, because of their hue. And now they had a reconciliation commission. And you know what? South Africa is doing pretty damn well. Yeah, they have their problems, but they're doing pretty damn well. Egberto, did you get my FB message on fascism? Yes, I did, and I thought I replied. I watched the entire video in between chapters. All right. Deborah says, I find consideration of reparations overwhelming as I can't see how we ever could do what's appropriate for how many awful things have been done to them. Let me tell you. You start, Deborah, you start. Let me give a good example, right? A lot of people say, well, what about poor white kids or whatever, That is true. If you have policies, and this is important. Hey, Doris Lee, my great seeing you here on the show. Great seeing you here, my dear. I actually spoke at her club a few days ago. Let me tell you guys. I tell you how you solve that problem. You make sure that every underprivileged kid has equal access to success. Right? That's all you do. It's not about preferential treatment for black kids or anything like that. It's about equal access to success. And if you do that, right, automatically you start giving access to these folks. Now, there are other things that I think needs to be done with regards to reparations. For insurance companies who insured black bodies and all that kind of stuff and who made a killing off of that, I think we need to have things like a particular funds that recover that and appropriately give it to the families on whose free labor was built. That's a payment now. It is a must. I think reparations is way overdue, and it's a must. You know who gets reparation? Corporations get it all the time. Let me give a great example because we spoke about that. Corporations are not people, etc., 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 right? Oh, I haven't done my ask yet. Man, we've been having so much fun. I have another video, but I'll show that video tomorrow. But here's the deal. I'll just do a quick ask at the end, but I want to finish this thought here. Corporations never cease to amaze me. Let me give an example. Let's say a city did something in a field. Let's say they went ahead and say, I'm turning this field into a park. And let's say that corporation had intended to use that field to build an addition to the factory that was going to create X amount of dollars. Guess what that corporation generally sues for? That corporation usually sues for reparations. Did you know that? Did you know that? And Bridge MCP puts a reality out there. Some white slave owners got reparations for their slaves in America. And you know, this is something that behooves me. Let me tell you better. Remember Haiti? Haiti was the first nation, black nation, created after they liberated themselves from the French. They had to pay France for their liberation. When you talk about the evil of capitalism, that is what I'm talking about. Remember, they had to recover the value of their capital. And people who looked like me, we were the capital. So whenever you are talking about those people who want reparation, try to see the humanity in why it is essential. You have to see, and if you cannot see, I think Haiti finally got from under it, Bridge, but you have to. I was bringing on a Haitian scholar, but she was writing a book and said she couldn't come on quite yet. But I so wish all the good people in this room would be able to understand the savagery of past slavery and why it has materially affected black folks. You can say, oh, but I know you, Egberto, you're doing fine. Or we have Doris Lee in here, or we have, I'm looking for the black folks in the room right now. Bear with me. Are we looking for the Paul Fleming? Okay. Oh, they did fine. Yes. But you don't base the society on the exceptions. And we are not exceptions. I'm sorry. On a large majority, you vote on it on the totality. You know, on the totality. And that's why I brought up when Brother Lee Grant talked about Democrats doing something, or black folks in America are richer than black folks in, let's say, Belize. You're not saying anything. White folks in America are richer than the white folks in Belize. Okay? So we have to learn how to think. We have to learn how to think. We have to learn that all these racial things are inflicted on us by a plutocracy who needs us to fight each other, because only in fighting each other can the thugs who have stolen our wealth remain where they are. Please remember that. Please remember that. Okay. It's almost over and I didn't do an ask. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to play it real quickly and then get the things out. Politics done right depends on you to keep doing what we do. What do? We make sure to keep, number one, the internet seeded with blogs and information to counter the right and to present what progressives represent for the benefit of us all to everybody, so that it's not misread, misled by any other entity. We make sure and populate that internet with blogs, with videos, with all these other things to make sure that we are informed and to counter everything that you normally hear that are lying at the right. We also make sure to create articles in magazines, articles in newspapers all around the country to ensure, again, that our message gets out there. Last but not least, we also write books
as you see it, class warfare, the only resort to right-wing doom, How to Make America Utopia, are two of the many books that I've written on these issues. So please support us in one of many ways. Numero uno, you can support us at PayPal, either one time or monthly. Go to politicsdoneright.com/PayPal. You can support us on Patreon. That is politicsdoneright.com/Patreon. Patreon is spelled Patreon. You can support us by becoming a part of our YouTube channel, going to politicsdoneright.com/YouTube, or you can support us in many other forms that you can find at politicsdoneright.com/support. Be sure to visit our store, politicsdoneright.com/store, and get our books at politicsdoneright.com/books.
All right, folks, I put all those links inside of the chat. So please go ahead and click one. Help however you can support to make sure we can continue giving the progressive message. Earlier today, tomorrow is Giving Tuesday. I'm going to be sending out a newsletter saying, hey, guys, Giving Tuesday. Fill up the coffers. We are like 6 months behind. You know, I was in D.C. with my baby for a long time. Anyhow, thank you for having been here, been here, AV Cube. Hey, but let me tell you guys something. All right. If you're on YouTube, support us on YouTube. Hit that join button. Become a part of our PDR posse. Also, remember that subscribe to our newsletter, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. That is how we keep informed, and share the newsletter for others to see. Now, don't forget our store. Hey, it's Christmas coming up, right? Christmas or Hanukkah or whatever you celebrate. Please go ahead and consider going to our store, politicsdoneright.com/store. Get a t-shirt, help promote us. Politics Done Right, help tell people you know this place that you can get good info, enlighten your spirit, all that good stuff. Get the t-shirts, the hats, the books. Go to politicsdoneright.com/books. Order some books and, give it out to your friends. Even your Republican friends. I'd like you to give specifically how to talk to your right-wing relative friends and neighbors. I'd love your Republican friends to get that one. That's what I give to my Republican friends. And again, I probably going to have a little thing where I have my 3 books, and I'll wrap it up for you, send it out as a gift to whoever you want to send in the United States. I'm probably going to put that on the I'll probably put that on the thing soon, on my cart. I don't know. Maybe I'll try to do that. Thanks, Egberto Willis. We missed you. Yeah, I was gone for 4 sessions. I did 4 tape shows. I love my peeps. I love you all. I need to finish up here saying one thing. A lot of people are feeling down when they see that we've lost the Congress, etc. Please don't. Please just realize we got a lot of work to do. Hey, Tom C., didn't see you before. We have a lot of work to do. And together, we're going to get the work done.